For some, this engagement looks like a fairy tale beginning. A contemptuous whisper brands the arriving princess as crazy. Chloe feels the crushing weight of being married to a monster. The wedding altar seems to Chloe like the path to her own execution. The court sees Chloe and Rodrian as nothing more than a pair of wild barbarians. Chloe's calm demeanor belies a fierce determination to survive alongside Marquise Rodrian. A chilling question forever links Chloe's fate with the hated Marquise. Chloe vows to become a poisonous flower and take her revenge. Princess Chloe Adelian recalls a past life cut short by murder. Behind Andrea's stepbrother's kind face lies a thirst for power. Behind Andrea stands the cunning and calculating mother, Kabbalah. Imperial law itself gives rise to a deadly rivalry for the throne. Born an empress, Chloe was nothing but a nuisance to everyone since childhood. 7-year-old Chloe is left all alone after the loss of her mother. Desperate and confused, Chloe trusts the only hand that is extended. The promise of protection from Andrea was a crushingly sweet lie. Under the guise of caring, Andrea weaves a web of control around Chloe. Andrea's poisonous words make Chloe obey blindly. Andrea uses Chloe's injury to arrange an advantageous marriage. The whole world now sees Chloe as nothing more than a mentally ill princess. Chloe is condemned by ghostly shadows, calling her as crazy as her mother. The sacred vows sound like a mockery of Chloe's fate. Chloe was sold like a thing, married off to an old man for the sake of imaginary salvation. 10 years of marriage became a real nightmare for Chloe, from which she managed to escape. Andrea greets Chloe with cold steel and a disdainful question. Andrea's icy indifference to Chloe's suffering is palpable in every word. Andrea asks Chloe for one last favor: to die quietly and without complaint. Behind Andrea's angelic smile lies Chloe's cruelty and thirst for death. Chloe's eyes were filled with horror as she realized that her life meant nothing to Andrea. Chloe doesn't believe what's happening, desperately clinging to the image of her beloved brother. Andrea watches Chloe's despair with pleasure, finding her pitiful appearance amusing. Andrea's blow becomes even more painful when he compares Chloe's fear to her mother's death. The truth comes crashing down on Chloe. Andrea and Kabbalah are to blame for her mother's madness. Andrea raises her sword, anticipating triumph and the final elimination of Chloe. A cry of despair escapes Chloe's lips as the mask falls from her beloved brother. Chloe wakes up abruptly in an unfamiliar place, not understanding what happened. The memory of the murder pierces Chloe's mind, causing her to doubt reality. The absence of a fatal wound gives Chloe a wild hope for a miracle. Chloe tries to convince herself that Andrea's betrayal was just a nightmare. The appearance of the maid breaks Chloe out of the chaos of her thoughts, returning her to a strange reality. The maid attributes Chloe's fainting spell to unbearable talk of marriage. Chloe doesn't understand what engagement the caustic maid is talking about. The familiar room gives Chloe an uneasy feeling of déjà vu. The realization that she's returning to the past gives Chloe a moment of false hope. The maid cheerfully mockingly discusses the insignificant title of Chloe's fiancé. The news of her engagement to the Viscount seems unthinkable and humiliating to Chloe. The name Viscount Pallas awakens chilling memories of the past in Chloe. The maid's caustic words about Chloe's age and status hit where it hurts most. The maid's insult becomes the last straw for Chloe, confirming her terrible suspicion. The hourglass of time turns over, confirming Chloe's incredible return. Chloe realizes with horror that she has returned to 10 painful years ago. Fear of a repeat of her terrible marriage and death at Andrea's hands paralyzes Chloe. The ghost of Chloe's past haunts her, threatening to lead her to another miserable end. Steely determination replaces fear, as Chloe now knows the true face of her enemies. A daring plan is born in Chloe's head, capable of changing her predetermined fate. Chloe hides her true intentions behind a mask of humility, asking for paper to write on. Chloe's hand writes lines not of apology, but of a desperate search for a savior from the palace prison. Chloe seeks an ally with unlimited power, beyond the influence of the imperial family. Chloe's choice falls on the most dangerous and ruthless man in the empire. Chloe's only hope is Calmus Rodrian, Prince of the conquered North. Calmus Rodrian rules over lands that despise the cruel empire. A huge raven delivers a mysterious letter to Calmus Rodrian. The scroll's anonymity only increases Calmus Rodrian's suspicions. An unexpected message from the capital takes Calmus Rodrian by surprise. The mention of a secret moon garden confuses Calmus Rodrian. The strange request to look at the flowers sounds like a veiled code. The audacity of the nameless invitation makes Calmus Rodrian clench his fist. The invitation to the capital's festival seems like an obvious trap to Calmus Rodrian. Chloe believes that the truth about the letter will soon be revealed in the capital. Calmus Rodrian gives the order to immediately go to the capital. The letter's mysterious author awakens a predatory interest in Calmus Rodrian. The long-awaited day of the Valentine's Day festival is approaching. Chloe looks in the mirror, preparing for the defining moment of her new life. Chloe's entire fate now depends on a man named Calmus Rodrian. Doubt plagues Chloe, wondering if the northern barbarian will answer the call. Knowing the future doesn't save Chloe from being labeled a mad princess. Chloe desperately tries to overcome her fear, because there is nowhere to retreat. Memories of a past death become a source of strength for Chloe. Images of the beating and Andrea's cold blade keep Chloe's resolve from fading. The thirst for revenge for the ruined lives of her mother and Chloe herself fuels the will to fight. Chloe is determined not to let this palace break her will. The appearance of Calmus Rodrian immediately attracts everyone's attention. Calmus Rodrian's stern appearance fully justifies the rumors of a fallen prince. Behind Calmus Rodrian's back, the courtiers whisper contemptuously about the barbarians without shame. Vile rumors paint Calmus Rodrian as a monster and a puppet of the empire. Calmus Rodrian's icy gaze silences the gossips in fear. Only a mysterious letter forced Calmus Rodrian to endure the hatred of the capital's nobility. The mystery of the moon garden and rare flowers haunts Calmus Rodrian. The sender's incredible knowledge causes Calmus Rodrian great concern. Rekna flowers turn to gold in the moonlight, symbolizing the wealth of Ronheim. Calmus Rodrian understands that the letter is not about flowers, but about something more. The secret code points to a top-secret gold mine, known only to a select few. Obsessed with finding the author, Calmus Rodrian is distracted by a sudden noise. The courtier's gaze is drawn to Chloe, whom everyone knows as the crazy princess. Calmus Rodrian watches the lonely princess walk with surprise. Chloe and Calmus Rodrian's eyes meet, and a risky plan is put into action. This first glance carries with it the weight of a past life and the hope of revenge. Chloe remembers how, in his past life, Andrea was obsessed with destroying Calmus Rodrian. Andrea's devious machinations ultimately led to the death of the invincible Calmus Rodrian. Chloe confidently walks towards Calmus Rodrian, knowing that their shared goal will make them allies. Chloe mentally challenges Andrea, vowing to no longer be a pawn. Chloe's radiant smile conceals a cold calculation about her marriage to Marquis Rodrian. Chloe makes the first move, admiring the flower on Calmus Rodrian's robe. An unexpected compliment from Chloe makes Calmus Rodrian wary. Chloe's bold request for a flower becomes a direct test for Calmus Rodrian. The shocked courtiers do not believe that Chloe understands the true meaning of her gesture. Chloe is well aware that she is asking Calmus Rodrian to publicly give her his heart. It was no coincidence that Chloe chose this holiday for such a bold step. Even Calmus Rodrian's refusal is written into Chloe's plan as another whim of the crazy princess. Calmus Rodrian stuns Chloe and the entire court by kneeling and mentioning the moon garden. Relief and triumph fill Chloe, for Calmus Rodrian has understood the secret sign. Chloe continues the game, innocently mentioning Rekni's favorite flowers. The crowd's disapproving glances prevent Chloe from getting some privacy with Calmus Rodrian for a conversation. Chloe deliberately falls, creating the perfect excuse to get closer to Calmus Rodrian. Pretending to be weak and helpless, Chloe waits with bated breath for Calmus Rodrian's reaction. The court's contempt for Chloe is so great that helping the princess is considered bad form. The cruel indifference of the courtiers makes Chloe's fall a humiliating spectacle. Calmus Rodrian challenges the entire court by lifting Chloe into his arms with determination. The union of a barbarian and a mad princess gives rise to poisonous ridicule in the crowd. Away from prying eyes, Chloe thanks Calmus Rodrian, signaling that the performance is over. Calmus Rodrian admits that he didn't see the author of the daring letter in the fragile Chloe. Calmus Rodrian confirms receipt of an intriguing invitation from the princess. Chloe realizes with trepidation that the perceptive Calmus Rodrian has figured out her plan. Chloe confidently states that she made the right choice by waiting for Calmus Rodrian. Calmus Rodrian demands that Chloe give him a good reason for such a risky challenge. The darkness of the night only strengthens the frightening aura of Calmus Rodrian in Chloe's eyes. Chloe gathers her courage to offer Calmus Rodrian a decisive deal. Chloe's bold marriage proposal hits Calmus Rodrian like a thunderbolt. As a wedding gift, Chloe offers Calmus Rodrian an entire gold mine. Chloe's incredible proposal only elicits a disbelieving grin from Calmus Rodrian. Calmus Rodrian lists the dubious benefits of marriage to Chloe with caustic irony. Chloe coolly notes Calmus Rodrian's expected reaction to the crazy proposal. Chloe's knowledge of Ronheim's secrets awakens genuine curiosity in Calmus Rodrian. Chloe remembers Andrea dragging her around everywhere, making her look like a helpless doll. Being constantly around Andrea gave Chloe access to the palace's darkest secrets. Chloe strikes, exposing the gold mine deception and Calmus Rodrian's secret plans. The shock on Calmus Rodrian's face confirms that Chloe is right and can't let this chance slip away. To keep Calmus Rodrian's interest, Chloe must remain calm and dispense information sparingly. Chloe goes on the offensive, proving to Calmus Rodrian the benefits of marriage. Chloe's dark prophecy foretells a bloodbath for Ronheim if he makes the wrong choice. Calmus Rodrian's desperate move to save Ronheim turns out to be a self-deception. Count Elvern betrays Calmus Rodrian, handing over the mine to the treacherous Andrea. The mine will become a springboard for Andrea's surprise attack, dooming Ronheim to more bloodshed. Chloe uncovers the insidious plot, begging Calmus Rodrian to believe her words. The loss of this land for Ronheim means complete and irrevocable subjugation of the empire. Calmus Rodrian's consent hangs in the balance, requiring Chloe to provide irrefutable proof. The spark of interest in Calmus Rodrian's eyes ignites in Chloe a desperate hope for success. Count Elvern tries to curry favor with Andrea, who sees Calmus Rodrian as a threat. Calmus Rodrian doubts Chloe's words, not believing Andrea's mortal hatred for her sister. Chloe hints at dark rumors about the heirs, known only to a few in the web of intrigue. Chloe hits where it hurts, equating the truth of rumors with the stigma of madness and barbarity. Having proven her worth, Chloe once again makes a bold marriage proposal to Calmus Rodrian. Calmus Rodrian tries to unravel Chloe's true motives, seeing no benefit in this alliance. Chloe's only desire is to escape the golden cage, and Calmus Rodrian is her key to freedom. The approaching chase leaves Chloe no time for long persuasions and doubts. Chloe leaves Calmus Rodrian with the choice, setting breakfast as the point of no return. Having the last word, Chloe leaves, leaving Calmus Rodrian in thought. Faithful Alex finds Calmus Rodrian inadvertently violating palace etiquette. Calmus Rodrian coldly interrupts Alex, reminding him of the mortal danger in the palace. Having received food for thought, Calmus Rodrian decides to leave the capital's viper's nest. Calmus Rodrian hides his sudden interest in the garden from Alex. The memory of young Chloe awakens forgotten feelings in Calmus Rodrian. Calmus Rodrian begins interrogation, trying to find the source of the information leak. The knight's loyalty is unbreakable, but this only strengthens Chloe's mystery. Chloe's mysterious knowledge baffles Calmus Rodrian. The only way to uncover Chloe's secret is to accept her dangerous game. Calmus Rodrian begins to understand that behind Chloe's madness lies despair. Chloe's strange ignorance of their shared childhood adds another layer of mystery. Calmus Rodrian's direct question becomes the decisive test for Chloe. Chloe's innocent answer about flowers seems like a clever lie to Calmus Rodrian. Calmus Rodrian puts a stop to Alex's investigation, preferring to act alone. Calmus Rodrian's intrigue escalates, leading him to seek a personal meeting with Chloe. Chloe held her breath in anticipation, because everything depended on Calmus Rodrian's visit. Chloe's faith in the coming of Calmus Rodrian is the only thing that gives her strength. The oath to protect Ronheim at any cost guides Calmus Rodrian's every decision. The news of Andrea's imminent visit becomes a race against time for Chloe. The maid's irritation once again reminds Chloe of her humiliating position. The maid's impudent reproach awakens painful memories of the past in Chloe. The habit of apologizing makes Chloe realize how deep the fear sits within her. Chloe decisively puts an end to the humiliation, standing up for herself for the first time in years. Chloe coolly sends away the impudent maid, covering her move with feigned weakness. A flash of memory reveals the true face of the maid, a spy assigned by the empress. After her mother's death, all of Chloe's loyal people were replaced by the eyes and ears of the new government. Chloe decisively ends the conversation, no longer willing to tolerate the spy's disdain. Andrea's sudden appearance shatters Chloe's fragile peace, bringing with it a storm. Andrea's furious scream lashes out at Chloe, accusing her of inappropriate behavior with Marquise Rodrian. Andrea continues her angry interrogation, not understanding Chloe's sudden boldness. Behind the mask of rage, Chloe sees the face of the man she once considered her savior. Andrea's humiliating words about shame and disgrace no longer hurt Chloe as much as they once did. Andrea's uncontrollable rage only strengthens Chloe's confidence in the correctness of her chosen path. Chloe's icy calm disarms Andrea as the fear in her eyes disappears. Confusion replaces anger on Andrea's face as he faces an unfamiliar version of Chloe. Andrea tries to regain control by reminding Chloe of her unthinkable behavior at the ball. In the past, Chloe mistook Andrea's toxic care for genuine concern. Andrea delivers a devious blow, hinting at Chloe's growing madness. The mention of heredity becomes a poisonous reminder for Chloe of her mother's fate. Knowing the truth makes Andrea's words unbearable, but Chloe won't let herself break. Chloe clenches her fists, drawing strength from the memories of betrayal and pain. Chloe puts on a mask of remorse, playing on Andrea's usual image of a weak sister. Chloe's feigned submission gives Andrea back a sense of control, causing her to loosen her grip. Andrea tries to bring Chloe back under control with her poisonous lies. The threat of a quick marriage sounds like a death sentence from Andrea's lips. Beneath the guise of brotherly concern, Andrea hides a possessive rage. Andrea's false consolation only underlines the humiliation of her marriage to Viscount Pallas. Chloe sees the scandal with Calmus Rodrian as her only chance for salvation. Andrea's disgusting care suffocates Chloe in its web of lies. A cold hatred is born in Chloe's soul, and she vows to never let Andrea close. A sudden visit interrupts Chloe's tense conversation with Andrea. The appearance of Calmus Rodrian becomes a saving omen for Chloe. The decisive moment has arrived. Calmus Rodrian has accepted Chloe's challenge. Chloe's heart skips a beat in hope, for Calmus Rodrian has come to make a deal. Calmus Rodrian's cold greeting brings an icy tension into the room. Calmus Rodrian's ambiguous phrase becomes the first move in their common game. Andrea tries to send Calmus Rodrian away, feeling her control is threatened. Chloe won't let Andrea take away the last opportunity she fought so desperately for. Chloe seizes the initiative, announcing to Andrea her personal invitation to the Marquis. Chloe's bold question leaves Calmus Rodrian with a choice: play along or ruin everything. Calmus Rodrian accepts the rules of the game, confirming Chloe's lie and joining the alliance. Andrea struggles to contain his anger as he realizes Chloe has been going behind his back. Andrea's forced retreat becomes Chloe's first small victory. Behind Andrea's facade of generosity lies the threat of a future conversation. Left alone, Chloe and Calmus Rodrian feel an oppressive tension. Chloe can hardly hide her relief that her only chance was almost missed. Calmus Rodrian's unexpected offer of an outing takes Chloe by surprise. A walk in the garden becomes Chloe's only way to talk without prying ears. The sudden proximity of Calmus Rodrian makes Chloe's heart skip a beat. Chloe asks Calmus Rodrian directly if this visit means he's agreed to the deal. Calmus Rodrian's unexpected consent to marry leaves Chloe in shock. Calmus Rodrian gets down to business, demanding that Chloe lay out her plan. Chloe's first step to freedom must be breaking off her engagement to Viscount Pallas. Calmus Rodrian's sudden question about Chloe's well-being sounds almost like concern. Calmus Rodrian's piercing gaze makes Chloe feel confused and silent. Calmus Rodrian tests Chloe's resolve by reminding her of Ronheim's barbaric reputation. Calmus Rodrian's grim warning of the coming hardships becomes the final test. Chloe meets the warning without fear, prepared for hatred and rumors. The genuine concern in Calmus Rodrian's voice touches something deep within Chloe. Chloe despises herself for her pathetic belief in goodness after all the betrayals. Casting aside her doubts, Chloe declares her readiness to leave for Ronheim immediately. A kiss on the hand seals their deal, and Calmus Rodrian names Chloe his bride. In the shadows of the hallway, Andrea burns with rage as she watches Chloe betray her. The guards try to stop Andrea, but he is already ready to break down. Andrea bursts into her mother's room, pushing aside the knights and demanding answers. Kabbalah watches the rage of his ill-mannered son with a cold grin. Andrea furiously complains to her mother about Chloe being unruly and stupid. Kabbalah warns Andrea, reminding her of the omnipresent spies in the palace. Andrea demands an explanation from Kabbalah about Chloe's strange behavior. Chloe's unexpected closeness to Calmus Rodrian raises the Cabbal's suspicions. Andrea is afraid of losing her puppet, because Viscount Pallas may break off the engagement. The Cabbal's wicked smile suggests it already has a solution. The Cabal's plan is cruel and simple, to exploit the situation to their advantage. Calmus Rodrian realizes that Chloe was unaware of the gold mine's discovery. Chloe's source of information becomes a major mystery for Calmus Rodrian. Chloe's desperation and her willingness to do anything is the only clear fact for Calmus Rodrian. The depth of Chloe's suffering makes Calmus Rodrian reflect on her past. Calmus Rodrian remembers Chloe's request, which she couldn't remember. Memories take Calmus Rodrian back 12 years to the burning Ronheim. The death of his mother in his arms became an unhealing wound for young Calmus Rodrian. The thirst for revenge led Calmus Rodrian to the imperial palace, the lair of his enemies. In the flower garden, Calmus Rodrian first met a frightened little girl. An unexpected encounter with Chloe in the past becomes the key to a solution for Calmus Rodrian. Young Call makes up an innocent lie to test the little princess. Chloe's naivety unnerves Call, who expected a trap from anyone in the palace. Chloe's simple kindness leaves Call desperately searching for a way to escape danger. Chloe's childish spontaneity pierces Call's armor of mistrust with an awkward gesture. Call feels guilty for deceiving him, but his thirst for revenge drives him to hurry. A simple meeting with Chloe becomes Call's first bright moment in a world of darkness. Chloe's gentle smile makes Call feel vulnerable for the first time in a long time. Call's trust in Chloe causes him to almost reveal his identity, losing his composure. Call struggles to pronounce his name, almost giving away himself and his secret. Kavala's appearance becomes a fateful encounter, linking Call's fate with the source of his hatred. Recognition of Kavala paralyzes Call, causing him to hesitate at the most crucial moment. The desire to attack Kavala fights in Kala's soul with the fear of failure and death. Chloe's innocent hug saves Call's life, interrupting his deadly plan. The approach of the guards makes Chloe instinctively protect Call, not realizing the full danger. The fear of losing her first friend drives Chloe to desperately protect Call from an invisible threat. Chloe reveals Call's deception, but instead of betraying him, she offers him salvation and a way out. Chloe's final words become both a curse and a blessing for Call on his path to revenge. A sense of cowardice and duty to Chloe haunts Call as he leaves the palace. The escape from the palace becomes the beginning of a long journey, sealed with the promise of a new meeting. A simple childish promise of a flower becomes a symbol of hope to live until the moment of their next meeting. Calus looked forward to the meeting, unaware that fate had already decided everything. Rumors of Chloe's madness confirm Calus's fears of an impending assassination. His debt to Chloe, who saved him, forces Calus to act before it's too late. Calus gathers his loyal people to put a risky plan into action. Calus's aide, Viscount Brantian Cliff, reports on the rumors spreading. False information about the key to the relic should lure the real enemies out of the shadows. Calus's plan is dangerous, as it will send all the relic hunters to Ronheim. The Cabal will not be able to remain on the sidelines, knowing that the key to the relic is so close. Calus is confident that new rumors will push the Cabal to act even more actively. Brantian expresses concern, fearing that Calus will become bait for the enemy. An old friend begs Calus not to take risks, seeing his plan as a death trap. Calus comforts Brantian, not wanting to lose the only person close to him. Calus had been cautious so far, but now it was time for a direct strike. A new operation will help Calus confirm that the relic is indeed in Cabal hands. Calus is confident that the Cabal will be unable to cause harm until they find the key to the relic. The Cabal's first move will be a spy planted within Calus's entourage. Meanwhile, in the tavern, they are discussing the mysterious relic and its connection with the saint. The only person who knows how to activate the artifact is Marquise Rodrian. A mysterious stranger appears in the tavern, different from the other patrons. The rumors reach their target. A Cabal spy hears that the key to the relic is Marquis Rodrian. The insidious Cabal sees Marquis Rodrian as nothing more than a key to be stolen. Chloe wakes up from another nightmare, exhausted by sleepless nights. Returning to the past left Chloe feeling restless, trapped in a cycle of terrible memories. Every time she closes her eyes, Chloe meekly sinks into the black abyss of her own death. But Chloe's true fear lies not in death, but in a single agonizing question. The ghosts of Andrea and Kabbalah haunt Chloe, reminding her of her blind stupidity. The guilt of her own ignorance weighs on Chloe like an unbearable burden. Helplessness and pride tear Chloe's soul into pieces, preventing her from finding peace. In moments of despair, only one person saves Chloe from total collapse. The memory of her old friend Kale becomes the only ray of light for Chloe. Kale's warm embrace in the past gives Chloe comfort and strength to fight. The unexpected news of Chloe's marriage comes as a real blow to Kale. Secret meetings with Kale were Chloe's only escape from the world of intrigue. The impending separation from Kale fills Chloe's heart with unbearable sadness. Kale comforts Chloe, promising to be there for her wherever life takes her. The name Kala becomes a symbol of loyalty and the only support for Chloe until death. Kale was always there, even in the darkest times, noticing every wound Chloe had. Chloe still relies on Kale, forgetting that this life is not the first. Chloe's confusion at Kale's concern reminds her of a long-forgotten childhood innocence. Kale's wise words become a reminder for Chloe that life is worth fighting for. Kale's support becomes a reminder for Chloe that her guilt is just an illusion. Kale's words about believing in yourself ignite a long-forgotten spark of hope in Chloe's soul. Chloe finds comfort in Kale's arms, believing in his sincerity and care. Kale's parting words become a promise to Chloe that any storm will pass. Despite the disdainful glances, Chloe walks with her head held high. Chloe is willing to endure humiliation in order to lower the vigilance of the treacherous Andrea. The maids discuss the barbarian's impudent letter and the princess's stupidity with sarcasm. Chloe is surprised to learn about a letter she has never seen. The maids explain that they intercepted the letter on the orders of their caring brother. Chloe realizes with fury that Andrea even controls her email. Andrea bursts into the room, waving the letter and accusing Marquis Rodrian of rudeness. The passionate and romantic lines of the letter describe a fateful meeting with the princess. Every line of the letter is imbued with admiration and passion for the beautiful Chloe. Andrea is furious at the vulgarity of the letter addressed to his engaged sister. For Andrea, this behavior of the Marquis Rodrian becomes the last straw. The pitiful flowers enclosed with the letter only increase Andrea's contempt for the barbarian. In a past life, Andrea's words would have left Chloe frozen with shame and fear. The memory of Kale's support keeps Chloe from breaking under Andrea's pressure. Chloe is no longer going to live in fear and humiliation, breaking the vicious cycle. Andrea tries to regain control by comforting a crying Chloe and pushing her back into the cage. Chloe's feigned agreement gives Andrea a sense of complete control over the situation. Chloe's cold determination to get rid of everything insignificant is frightening in its cruelty. Chloe begins her performance by asking the maid about flowers from Marquis Rodrian. With a sharp movement, Chloe snatches the flowers, shocking the frightened maid. Chloe intentionally breaks a vase, creating chaos and attracting Andrea's attention. Chloe's innocent smile hides a cold calculation behind the mask of an accidental oversight. Andrea's panic over the scratch on Chloe's face reveals his possessive nature. Kabbalah watches the scene with cold curiosity, noticing the changes in Andrea. Andrea bursts into Kabbalah's, claiming that Chloe has become a completely different person. Kabbalah, with icy calm, promises Andrea that he will soon sort everything out. Chloe is called in for a talk and realizes she's about to meet the Cabal itself. Kabbalah greets Chloe with a fake smile, hiding an important mission behind it. The Cabal's unexpected order to go to Ronheim stuns Chloe with its directness. Chloe is to become a spy, traveling to Ronheim as a spy bride. The Cabal reveals its true intentions: peace between Ronheim and the Empire. Behind the guise of peacemaker, the Cabal hides fear of the impending war. Chloe must become a peacemaker and a spy, preventing war and reporting everything. Kabbalah's gentle words sound like an order, leaving Chloe no choice. Chloe's incredible luck seems too good to be true. Chloe plays the role of the obedient daughter, hiding her triumph behind a mask of doubt and fear. Kabbalah, with false tenderness, promises Chloe a quick return from Ronheim. Even the warm embrace of the Cabal now seems toxic and deceitful to Chloe. Chloe realizes that in this life, Kabbalah will fall into her own trap. The Cabal is confident that assigning Chloe to Marquis Rodrian is the perfect move. Despite her doubts, Kabbalah believes Chloe is cowardly enough to carry out the mission. Chloe's latest request for land and a guild seems like a ridiculous whim to the Cabal. The Cabal sees Chloe's request as a waste of resources before her inevitable death. The Cabal's plan is cruel. After completing the mission, Chloe must perish in the desert land. Despite Andrea's protests, Chloe's engagement to Marquis Rodrian becomes a fait accompli. The day of the engagement arrives, marking the beginning of a new dangerous game for Chloe. The disdainful rumors about the perfect couple of the mad princess and the barbarian do not hurt Chloe. Chloe walks into the ceremony with cold determination, ignoring the poisonous whispers. The Cabal deal and Ronheim's territory become new trump cards for Chloe. The engagement has thrown Andrea off balance, but Chloe doesn't dare let her guard down. The Knights of Ronheim disdainfully discuss the Marquis's audacity in daring to marry the princess. Chloe's appearance does not change the opinion of the Knights, who see her as nothing more than a spoiled mad woman. Chloe is ready to prove her nobility, not intending to give up her alliance with the Marquis. The appearance of Princess Chloe Adelian makes the hall fall silent in tense anticipation. Chloe takes her first steps towards a new life, feeling strength and freedom in her hands. The number of vassals at the engagement reflects the Empire's true disposition towards Ronheim. Under the pretext of a special honor, Chloe is forced to walk the red carpet alone. Loneliness on the path to the throne becomes Chloe's last attempt to humiliate her by the Empire. In a past life, humiliation would have made Chloe tremble with fear and shame. Andrea's gloating gaze only strengthens Chloe's resolve not to give in to provocation. Chloe is completely focused on the upcoming ceremony, ignoring her brother's disdain. The indifference of a father who doesn't recognize his own daughter no longer hurts Chloe. Chloe bows before the Emperor, hiding her cold determination behind her bow. Her father's icy treatment of Chloe underlines her alienation from the imperial family. The Cabal's jubilation at the success of its plans is not hidden even by a false smile. The entire court gathered to watch the humiliation of the mad princess. Chloe feels the hostile glances on her, but she doesn't let them get to her anymore. Cabala's fake concern only makes Chloe feel sick. Chloe finds the strength to cope with loneliness, rejoicing in the absence of Marquis Rodrian. A sudden scream interrupts the ceremony, causing Chloe to turn around in confusion. The appearance of Marquis Rodrian at the most tense moment comes as a complete surprise. The early arrival of Callus Rodrian finally dispels Chloe's last doubts. Having Callus Rodrian around gives Chloe a feeling of confidence and relief. Callus Rodrian greets the imperial family, breaking all rules of etiquette. Callus Rodrian's flattery towards Chloe sounds like a subtle mockery of the court. Callus Rodrian ironically apologizes for the small number of escorts, emphasizing his disdain. Chloe is amazed by how Callus Rodrian plays the role of a man bewitched by love. The Emperor can hardly hide his irritation at Marquis Rodrian's impressive retinue. Chloe fears that the Emperor's wrath over the breach of protocol will lead to disaster. The Cabal intervenes, greeting Marquis Rodrian with false courtesy. The Cabal's unexpected intervention leads Chloe to suspect a new trap. The Cabal begins its performance by thanking the guests and emphasizing the importance of the union. Cabala's direct question puts Chloe in the spotlight, leaving no room for retreat. The Knights of Ronheim tensely await Callus Rodrian's response, preparing for the worst. The Cabal pushes Callus Rodrian to answer, reminding him of the marriage contract. For Callus Rodrian, this marriage is nothing more than a forced and unfortunate coincidence. Chloe understands her role in this game, ready to cope with everything even without his respect. Callus Rodrian drops to one knee, breaking the tense silence and shocking everyone. Callus Rodrian's passionate declaration of love at first sight comes as a bolt from the blue. The oath of allegiance until the last breath becomes the culmination of this incredible performance. Chloe instinctively pulls away, not believing what is happening and at a loss for words. Chloe's misunderstandings cause her to question Callus Rodrian's true motives. Cabala comments on the Marquis's ardor with a sly smile, enjoying the performance. The Cabal declares the engagement complete, thus cementing its insidious plan. Chloe thanks Callus Rodrian for his acting, despite her confusion. Callus Rodrian's unexpected touch makes Chloe flinch in surprise. Callus's promise becomes a beacon of hope for Chloe in a raging blizzard of intrigue. Callus's whisper echoes in Chloe's soul, giving her a fleeting sense of calm. The strange feeling of support from Callus makes Chloe question his true motives. Meanwhile, the Knights of Ronheim discuss rumors of black magic and prepare to leave. Touching Chloe revealed the truth to Callus. Her aura was completely alien. Callus remembers how Chloe seemed completely unaware of his plan. Despite her confusion, Callus sensed desperation and determination in Chloe. The death curse placed on the bracelet was the only explanation for the strangeness. Callus sets out to search, intending to make one more round before leaving. Alex searches for the lost Flatus in a panic, complaining about his eternal bad luck. An unfamiliar voice addressing Alex as Sir makes him wary. An unexpected meeting with Princess Chloe in the garden comes as a complete surprise to Alex. Alex apologizes in embarrassment, realizing his mistake and the awkwardness of the situation. Alex's mistake shouldn't cause any problems for Callus, so he tries to leave. Chloe stops Alex, showing him the bracelet she found on the ground. Chloe smiles and suggests that the bracelet might have belonged to one of Ronheim's knights. Alex is surprised to recognize his lost flatus in the hands of the princess. Flatus, a prayer entrusted to a valued person, is a sacred tradition of Ronheim. Alex can't believe Chloe came all this way for an old trinket. Chloe explains her actions by her desire to return a valuable item similar to her friend's bracelet. Alex is amazed by Chloe's sanity, which contradicts all the rumors about her insanity. Alex's sincere gratitude for returning the precious item makes Chloe smile. Chloe says goodbye to Alex, leaving him completely bewildered and confused. Chloe's strange mention of a similar bracelet and a friend from Ronheim haunts Alex. Alex realizes that, without wanting to, he found himself in debt to the princess. The maid angrily scolds Chloe for associating with the cruel knights of Ronheim. Chloe listens to the maid's hysteria with cold indifference, not paying any attention to it. Even the knights of Ronheim seem more sincere to Chloe than her own circle. On the other hand, Alex's honesty comes as a pleasant surprise to Chloe. The unexpected kindness of the knight from Ronheim makes Chloe smile for the first time in a long time. Chloe remembers Kalla's bracelet, which was so similar to the traditional Ronheim jewelry. The thought that Kalla's bracelet could also be Flatus makes Chloe wonder. Kall's prophetic words about the snowstorm now take on a whole new meaning for Chloe. Chloe realizes that her only friend, Kall, might be from Ronheim. Despite countless opportunities, Chloe never decided to learn more about Kalla. The bustle in the palace associated with the upcoming wedding only increases the tension. Chloe bitterly realizes that all her efforts and plans were in vain. The memory of Viscount Pelus's displeasure at the cancellation of the wedding does not evoke sympathy in Chloe. The emperor's sudden fall from his horse causes the cancellation of all celebrations. The cabal, preoccupied with caring for the emperor, cancels Chloe's wedding, ruining her plans. Kabbala's departure becomes the long-awaited call to action for Chloe. Chloe realizes that winning the favor of the Knights of Ronheim is the key to survival. Chloe's plan is daring: steal the Cabbal's treasure and escape to Ronheim. Without knowing the exact date of the Emperor's fall, Chloe is forced to wait and watch. The long-awaited news of the Emperor's fall becomes a fatal omen for Chloe. On this fateful night, Kabbala will remain constantly vigilant at the Emperor's bedside. The Empress's palace is left unguarded, and Chloe prepares to sneak inside. Tonight is Chloe's only chance to steal the jewels from the box. Only 3 people know about the magic key to the treasured box. Chloe, who inherited the knowledge from her mother, is one of the keepers of the secret. An ordinary-looking dice is actually the key to the box. The Cabal, not knowing the secret, probably keeps the key in a visible place. Chloe is confident of success because the Cabal doesn't even suspect about her knowledge. Chloe steels herself, preparing to take back what is rightfully hers. Chloe decides to take back what is rightfully hers: her mother's treasures. The palace guards turned out to be much more irresponsible than Chloe had expected. All that's left for Chloe to do is sneak into Kabbala's room and get what's hers. An unexpected silhouette in the window makes Chloe freeze in fear and surprise. Chloe is horrified to recognize the mysterious thief as the red-haired girl from the poster. A thief targeting the Kabbala box becomes an unexpected rival for Chloe. Chloe realizes that the thief's exit from the palace means the guards will soon arrive. The noise in the palace confirms Chloe's suspicions. The guards are already looking for the mysterious thief. Chloe realizes that running away now will deprive her of her only chance to steal the box. Left with no other choice, Chloe decides to go with the backup plan. Chloe is willing to risk suspicion rather than miss her chance. The sudden sound of footsteps makes Chloe turn around and face the thief. Chloe pretends to be scared, screaming and fighting off the bewildered girl. Handcuffs intended for a thief snap onto her hands. The thief uses Chloe as bait, pointing her out to the guards and trying to escape. Chloe is shocked by the thief's cunning as she tries to frame her and escape. The guards rush in pursuit of Chloe, giving her no chance to escape. The thief points with a sly smile to the bushes where Chloe was supposedly hiding. Chloe understands that her reputation in the palace plays into her hands. No one will believe her guilt. The thief makes a grave mistake by trying to frame Chloe without knowing her true status. Chloe reveals her identity, declaring herself a princess and demanding her release. The guards are shocked by Chloe's impudence, not believing that they are facing a member of the imperial family. The guards' rude treatment leaves Chloe frozen with humiliation and rage. Chloe can't believe that even the palace guards don't recognize her face. The disdainful treatment of Chloe as a servant drives her to the limit. In the reflection of the window, Chloe sees not her own face, but the face of a confused red-haired thief. Chloe realizes that the red-haired thief might have cast a spell on her. At that fateful moment, Chloe became the bait, allowing the real thief to escape. Chloe realizes that she is not dealing with an ordinary thief, but with someone more dangerous. Chloe's thoughts are interrupted by the guard's rough handling as he drags her into the unknown. Chloe wakes up on a cold floor, smelling a strange odor and feeling disoriented. Chloe realizes that she is locked in the bathroom, not in a dungeon as she expected. The fear that the Cabal had discovered her plan was replaced by the pain of hitting an invisible wall. In the reflection, Chloe sees not her own face, but the face of a frightened red-haired thief. Chloe suspects that the handcuffs may be the cause of the strange reflection. Chloe realizes that she is in the bathroom of the Empress's palace, where the thief was locked. The pungent aroma of candles and the faint scent of blood fill the room with an ominous atmosphere. Chloe notices 3 elegant knives on the table, which arouse her suspicion. Despite the eerie atmosphere, Chloe realizes that things aren't so bad in the Cabal's castle. In the body of a thief, Chloe can act freely, because her identity and purpose remain secret. Chloe decides to break the spell so she can steal the Cabal's jewels and escape. Among the candles and knives, Chloe finds nothing useful for removing the handcuffs. An unexpected discovery, a bottle of oil, gives Chloe hope for salvation. Chloe is confident that the oil will help her free herself from the magical handcuffs. Chloe pours oil onto her hands, preparing for the final push to freedom. The handcuffs slip easily from her hands, and Chloe realizes that magic has nothing to do with it. Freed from her handcuffs, Chloe is ready to act decisively and quickly. Chloe realizes that there is very little time left before the Cabal returns. The bathroom connected to the office becomes an unexpected blessing for Chloe. The bright light from the office makes Chloe freeze in confusion and fear. The magical protection on the window becomes an unpleasant, but not critical obstacle for Chloe. Chloe confidently decides to find another way. Without giving in to provocations, the Cabal's overconfidence in magic becomes its main weakness. Chloe's only option is to escape the trap through a secret passage unknown to the Cabal. Chloe begins searching for a secret entrance, which must be somewhere in the office. Pressing a hidden mechanism opens Chloe's escape route. A secret passage, accessible only to the Emperor and his wife, becomes Chloe's only way out. The secret passages in the palace, known to Chloe since childhood, now serve her purposes. Childhood memories of secret passages come flooding back to Chloe at just the right moment. The Cabal, not having the status of a princess, does not even suspect the existence of this path. Chloe holds the key to the box in her hands, realizing that the Cabal is unaware of its existence. The knowledge of the secret passage was passed on to Chloe by her mother, who broke the sacred law. Perhaps Chloe's mother foresaw the coming danger and tried to protect her daughter. Her mother revealed the secret to Chloe to give her a chance at salvation in her darkest hour. As a child, Chloe didn't understand the full importance of this information. But now everything has changed. Chloe descends the secret staircase, realizing that her journey to freedom has begun. Chloe remembers her mother's prohibition against discussing the secret passage. But now everything has changed. With cold determination, Chloe vows to survive at any cost and take revenge on her enemies. Chloe finally reaches her goal, the Cabal's secret treasure trove. Following her mother's instructions, Chloe places the key in the slot above the door. The magic lock gives way, and the door to the treasury slowly opens. Chloe is faced with the untold wealth accumulated by the insidious Cabal. Among the treasures, Chloe recognizes the jewelry that her late mother loved so much. Chloe's priceless treasures leave her with only one question: how to carry it all away. Chloe's bag quickly fills up, but most of the treasure remains untouched. Chloe notices an old bag that could be her salvation in this situation. The unexpected discovery of a tattered bag seems like a real stroke of luck to Chloe. Inside the bag, Chloe discovers an ancient cup, which leaves her puzzled. Despite its ancient appearance, The cup seems useless and not particularly valuable to Chloe. Chloe decides to keep the heavy cup so as not to waste precious space on it. Having filled the bags to capacity, Chloe looks over her loot with satisfaction. Having successfully slipped through the secret passage, Chloe prepares for the final step of her plan. Chloe realizes she must cover all traces to avoid suspicion. The ideal solution is to burn the place to the ground, hiding all the evidence. The fire will hide not only the identity of the robber, but also what jewelry was missing. Chloe sets the treasure chest on fire without hesitation, leaving only ashes and flames behind. The chaos of the fire will help hide the true culprit, losing him among the greedy marauders. Chloe stares into the fire, feeling an inexplicable connection with the ancient Grail. The thought of the Grail thrown into the fire haunts Chloe, making her doubt. Chloe wonders if this Grail had any special value to the Cabal. Deciding that the Cabal deserved this loss, Chloe leaves the Grail in the fire. Cries of a fire in the Empress's treasury echo throughout the palace. The maids are panicking and discussing how the thief managed to get into the guarded chambers. The news that the treasury burned to the ground leaves everyone in shock. The maid recalls seeing a suspicious man among the fire and smoke. Greed, which clouded the thief's mind, becomes the main version of what happened. Chloe listens to the rumors with a grin, realizing that her plan worked perfectly. Chloe drinks her tea with a satisfied look, enjoying her small victory. Back in her room, Chloe hides the stolen jewelry in a teddy bear. Chloe locks the remaining treasures in the compartment where she keeps her toys. Chloe plans to exchange the jewelry for money immediately upon arrival in Ronheim. Chloe is overcome with fear when she realizes that the red-haired thief saw her. The only one who saw Chloe's real face was that same thief. Chloe realizes with horror that the red-haired girl knows who the real thief is. The fear of being exposed puts the entire revenge plan Chloe has been working on for so long in jeopardy. Chloe tries to calm down by remembering her past life and the lessons she learned. The heroine recalls how the Cabal tried unsuccessfully to find the elusive thief Rose. Chloe anxiously assumes that in this life, too, the dangerous criminal will remain at large. The upcoming departure to Ronheim becomes the girl's only salvation from palace intrigues. The princess tries to calm herself with the thought that her paths with the red-haired thief will not cross again. Meanwhile, Rose, hiding in the shadows, vows revenge on those who ruined her life. Kabbalah furiously berates Andre for failing to catch the brazen thief. The Empress is tormented by the question of how the outsider learned about the secret magic key. The Cabal's suspicions fall on Andre, accusing the young man of conspiring with the criminal. The young man, with tears in his eyes, denies betrayal, swearing allegiance to his sister. Andre kisses Kabalah's hand, desperately promising to return every single stolen treasure. The cunning woman calms her brother, once again drawing him into a web of manipulation. Kabalah, with icy calm, decides to trust Andre one last time. The only thing that worries the Empress is the disappearance of the ancient Grail from the treasury. The guy clenches his fist, confident that the stupid girl could not have stolen the inconspicuous cup. Kabalah looks at his son with doubt, not understanding his excessive self-confidence. Andre explains that he hid the Grail in an old bag, making it invisible to the thief. Realizing his son's mistake, Kabalah becomes enraged, ordering him to be silent. The Empress recalls how much effort was spent searching for a way to awaken the relic. Andre's plan to get the key with Chloe's help is pointless without the Holy Grail. The Cabal gives Andre an ultimatum. The Grail must be found by the time the key is received. The Cabal is ready to do anything to return the Grail, which is more important than all treasures. The woman dreams of untold riches and power that the relic will give her. The Empress is ready to take the risk, because the awakened relic will make her invincible. By the time the power awakens, Ronheim will be wiped off the face of the earth along with its inhabitants. Andre asks with a grin if Kabalah is going to use Chloe as bait. Kabalah is confident that the girl will gladly pay for the fulfillment of her dream. The guy readily agrees to carry out any order of his sister. The Empress orders the thief to be brought to her in order to personally take revenge for the humiliation. Kabalah trusts Andre to find someone to accompany Chloe to Ronheim. Despite the cancellation of the wedding, chaos reigns in the palace, and preparations for departure are underway. The heroine has long been ready to leave, but one thought haunts her. In anticipation of a long separation, the princess is looking forward to meeting Call. The girl is worried that her old friend never visited her before leaving. Chloe is separated from Call for the first time in a long time, which makes her anxious. The princess realizes that Call's caution may have been the reason for his absence. The heroine, with cold indifference, orders the dress given to her by Kabbalah to be removed. The maids are shocked that Chloe is scorning the empress's own generosity. For the girl, this dress is nothing more than a false symbol of care and control. Chloe decides not to take anything reminiscent of the Cabal with her to Ronheim. The princess asks to be left alone to collect her thoughts before the long journey. Left alone, the heroine waits with hope for her only friend. Chloe calls out to Call, certain he is hiding somewhere nearby. The girl begs the young man to come, because this is their only chance to say goodbye. The princess remembers Call's promise to always be there for her, wherever she goes. The heroine bitterly realizes that their meeting may never take place again. Time is running out, and Chloe realizes with a heavy heart that Call never showed up. The girl decides to leave so as not to arouse suspicion and not risk her freedom. An unexpected note on the table becomes the princess's last hope. Chloe is surprised to find a note in her hands that wasn't there a second ago. The familiar handwriting and the promise to follow her everywhere fill the heroine's heart with warmth. The girl clutches the note to her chest in relief, glad that Call didn't abandon her. The maid's impatient cry breaks Chloe out of her happy thoughts and brings her back to reality. The princess hides the note, realizing that its discovery could pose a danger. The heroine decides to leave a note in the room so as not to risk it and not arouse suspicion. The girl is sure that the servants will not recognize the handwriting and will not understand who wrote this message. Callus Rodrian is already waiting for Chloe at the carriage, ready for the long journey. With a confident smile, the princess invites the marquise to set off on his journey. The young man readily agrees, and together, they set off for Ronheim. The maids breathe a sigh of relief, happy about the mad princess's departure from the palace. A note found in Chloe's room leaves the maids puzzled and suspicious. The maid, with horror, attributes Chloe's odd behavior to her progressive madness. Rumors about the empress's hereditary illness become the main version of what is happening. The unexpected appearance of a knight from Ronheim interrupts the maid's malicious gossip. Alex resolutely takes the box intended for Chloe from the maid's hands. The impudent maid tries to stop Alex, outraged by his insolence. Alex listens with disdain to the reproaches of the maid, who herself spreads rumors about her mistress. The memory of meeting Chloe makes Alex question her madness. The princess's politeness and modesty are completely at odds with the image created by the servants. Alex rushes to the carriage to give Chloe the box and fulfill her request. Callus Rodrian greets Alex with a smile, praising him for the task he completed. Chloe accepts the box from the confused knight with sincere gratitude. Sympathy for the princess makes Alex think about her difficult fate in the palace. A confused Alex asks Chloe to call him by his first name, accepting her as his mistress. Alex's unexpected address catches Chloe off guard, leaving her surprised. Chloe happily accepts Alex, feeling like she's finally accepted into Ronheim. Meanwhile, the Cabal eagerly awaits the moment when its insidious plan will be put into action. Andre cannot understand what his mother is up to, watching her strange actions. The Cabal's unexpected decision to send Chloe to Marquis Rodrian leaves Andre shocked. Andre furiously scolds Viscount Pelus for failing to keep Chloe. Viscount Pelus bitterly admits that even royal blood did not save him from humiliation. Viscount Pelus recalls with bitterness the dowry prepared for the mad princess. The offended Viscount cannot forgive Chloe for her choice in favor of the barbarian Rodrian. Pelus offers his services to Andre, hoping to take revenge and get back the lost money. Andre scornfully rejects the offer, not wanting to get involved with the greedy Viscount. The boy understands that the decision to send Chloe to Ronheim was made by his mother. Andre smirks as he says that killing Marquis Rodrian will solve all the problems. Viscount Pelus readily agrees to the murder, dreaming of a generous reward. The desire to join the royal family forces Pelus to commit any crime. The Viscount is already imagining how he will lock up the crazy princess after the wedding. Pelus is confident that no one will look for the missing and forgotten Chloe. Andre gives his consent, and Viscount Pelus vows to fulfill his wish. In the carriage, Chloe notices Callus looking confused and looking for something. The girl explains with a smile that this is her first time outside the palace. Callus's surprise makes the princess bitterly remember her past life. The heroine admits that she lived like a bird in a cage, never leaving the palace. An awkward silence falls over the carriage, making Chloe feel uneasy. Callus unfolds the map to distract the princess from her sad thoughts. The young man shows their current location and further route on the map. After crossing the farmland, they must reach the river and find the fortress. The final destination of their journey will be a small fortress near a magic circle. Chloe enthusiastically suggests using teleportation magic to move quickly. Callus explains that the long journey of 2 months makes teleportation necessary. The realization of the vastness of the world outside the palace hits Chloe hard. The girl is surprised to realize that Ronheim is so far away that it is not on the map. Callus warns the princess of a long and difficult path that requires patience. The young man tells Chloe with a serious look that this trip could cost her her life. The heroine reminds Callus with a smile that she herself offered him a marriage contract. The girl confidently declares that she is not as weak as he thinks and is ready for difficulties. Arrival in the fortress city of Vermin becomes the first step into a new life for Chloe. The princess looks at the bustling city, full of merchants and knights, with childish delight. The lively atmosphere of the market square exceeds all the heroine's expectations. The noisy and vibrant city seems much more alive to the girl than she imagined. Chloe notices that the merchants are deliberately avoiding them, not paying any attention to them. The princess does not understand why none of the merchants approach them with offers. Callus explains that the locals see them as northerners and don't want to waste their time on them. Chloe sadly realizes that prejudice against northerners is as strong as it is against her. Callus interrupts her thoughts, explaining that water skins are useless in the north. Constant snow and rapid ice formation make water collection vessels unnecessary. The same applies to boots, which are not suitable for the harsh northern climate. The young man explains with a smile that in the north, she will need insulated boots. Callus's sincerity brings a strange and joyful feeling to Chloe. The young man promises to tell the princess more about the north on the way. Callus informs Chloe that they need to visit one important place before leaving. The girl happily welcomes Callus into her clothing store. The heroine looks with curiosity at the thick clothing intended for northerners. The princess is amazed at how much the clothes of the northerners differ from those of Arental. Callus explains that he came to buy warm clothes for his future wife. Chloe's confusion at Callus's words makes her heart beat faster. A young man warns a girl about severe weather in the north. The hero advises the princess to change into something more suitable for a long journey. In Arental, even in winter, there were no severe frosts, and fashion dictated its own rules. Because of their rough clothing and lack of jewelry, northerners are considered barbarians. Chloe understands that it will not be easy for her to get used to new traditions. The girl is afraid that her warm outfit will not protect her from the harsh northern climate. Callus notices Chloe's unease, fearing that his offer has offended her. The princess gratefully accepts Callus's care, hiding her excitement. The saleswoman offers to help Chloe choose suitable clothes for the trip. The heroine asks for advice, admitting that she knows nothing about northern fashion. The look of admiration on Callus's face when he sees Chloe makes his heart skip a beat. This whole marriage is just a show, but Callus knows he has to support it. Callus is convinced that Chloe is a spy sent by the Cabal to eliminate him. Brantian can't believe Callus is willing to bury Chloe of his own free will. Callus's warm gaze on Chloe leaves Brantian puzzled. Callus interrupts the conversation, inquiring about the latest news on the relic. No one saw the relic in the burned treasury, which makes Callus suspicious. Brantian worries about when they will get the chance to retrieve the relic. The unexpected appearance of the maid interrupts Chloe's solitude and thoughts. Chloe is surprised to recognize the maid as the very same thief from the treasury. Rose recalls their meeting on that fateful night when she stole the Cabal's jewels. Chloe is shocked to find herself standing in front of the same thief who almost got her caught. The princess demands an explanation. Suspecting that Rose entered Ronheim with malicious intent, Rose innocently denies all the accusations, pretending not to understand what is being said. The girl smirks and hints at the princess's own thieving skills, infuriating Chloe. Rose claims to have seen Chloe rummaging through the treasure chest and starting a fire. Chloe realizes with horror that Rose saw her escape through the secret passage. Despite the revelation, Rose holds no grudge against Chloe as she managed to escape. The thief came to the princess with the sole purpose of making a deal. An unexpected deal proposal catches Chloe off guard and leaves her confused. Rose offers Chloe her help in escaping in exchange for an escort. The girl invites Chloe to become accomplices in order to achieve their goals together. Chloe realizes that the soldiers looking for Rose are actually Cabal. Refusing to cooperate with Rose threatens Chloe with exposure and complete failure. Despite the hostility, the heroine agrees to the deal, sealing it with a handshake. Rose happily accepts the offer, as she needs a servant who is not affiliated with the Cabal. The girl introduces herself as Ramya Blake, hoping for a successful collaboration. Ramya quickly gets into character, helping Chloe choose clothes for the trip. Despite her outward helpfulness, Chloe cannot fully trust her new maid. Meanwhile, Callus and Brantian wait for Chloe, preparing to teleport. The princess appears in a new outfit, thanking Callus for the long wait. Chloe shyly asks if the northern clothing she is wearing for the first time suits her. Brantian and Ramya are shocked by Callus's reaction, who is head over heels in love. The young man tenderly assures the girl that the new outfit suits her very well. The embarrassment on Callus's face makes Chloe blush and thank him for the compliment. Brantian notes with a grin that if this continues, they will never get the princess back. Callus's assistant decides to introduce himself, breaking the awkward silence and bringing everyone back to reality. Chloe is delighted to meet Viscount Creef, hoping to establish a good relationship with him. All preparations are complete, and the heroes head to the teleportation point. The majestic appearance of the magic circle amazes Chloe, who sees something like this for the first time. The unexpected closeness of Callus makes the girl's heart beat faster. The bright light of the teleportation makes Chloe feel dizzy and slightly panicked. A bright flash of light blinds Chloe, plunging her into darkness and uncertainty. A familiar, gentle voice pulls the princess out of oblivion, returning her to reality. The heroine is surprised to recognize her savior as Marquis Rodrian. The girl panics and realizes that she is lying on Callus's lap, with no memory of how it happened. The young man explains that Chloe lost consciousness during the teleportation. Chloe's confusion makes Callus smile, which confuses her even more. The hero invites the princess to look at the landscape outside the window to distract her. The snowy expanses of the north amaze Chloe with their harsh and cold beauty. Callus explains that Avon is the only region that receives so much rainfall. The girl cannot believe that there can be eternal winter in one region. The abundance of snow gave Ronheim an advantage during enemy invasions. Callus invites Chloe to go out and enjoy the beauty of the snowy plains. The young man warns the princess about the deep snow, in which it is easy to fall through. Chloe can hardly believe that from now on, she will have to live in this cold and harsh land. The frosty air burns the lungs, and the piercing wind chills the bones. Despite the terrible cold, the girl is confident in her decision and is ready for difficulties. Chloe realizes that she will have to love this kingdom of ice and cold in order to survive. Callus's unexpected touch makes the princess flinch in surprise. The guy says with confidence that the strong-willed Chloe will quickly get used to the new climate. Callus's words of encouragement convince Chloe that she was right to choose him as an ally. Chloe recalls the advice of a dear friend who once gave her a great idea. 5 happy memories should become a salvation for the girl from unbearable pain. The princess didn't have many positive moments in the past, except for meetings with Call. Thanks to Callus, Chloe now has another warm memory to add to her collection. Callus is relieved to realize that the heroine remembers everything about their childhood meeting. The young man interrupts the warm moment, suggesting they return to the cart before the snowstorm arrives. Ramya indignantly discusses the dilapidated inn where the princess is to spend the night. Brantian argues with Ramaya, insisting on notifying the lord of the princess's arrival. Tired from the long journey, Chloe dreams only of rest and peace. Callus explains that due to a severe snowstorm, they will have to set up camp in the mountains. The young man invites Chloe to spend the night in the local count's castle to avoid any risks. The heroine readily agrees, realizing that this is the best option in this situation. An official announcement of their arrival will force the lord to receive them as royalty. It would be unwise for a princess to disturb a lord simply by passing by. Chloe didn't want to attract any attention, but Callus's departure ruined everything. Brantian is furious that Ramya dared to disregard her mistress's wishes. Ramya defends the princess, reminding her that she has never seen an inn. Brantian notes with bitterness that relations with the empire deteriorated after the annexation of Ronheim. Callus understands that squabbling with the Ronheimians will not lead to anything good. Chloe decisively interrupts the argument, ordering her companions to stop immediately. Chloe suggests that her maid step aside so that she can talk privately and without prying ears. The princess notes with cold indifference that she did not expect any other attitude. The heroine realizes that the servant received instructions from the cabal and is its spy. The girl decides to test her guess by asking the maid a direct question about her name. Vanessa confidently confirms that the empress has great confidence in her in this mission. Chloe realizes that refusing to cooperate with Vanessa will lead to hostility. She is furious that Vanessa is deliberately provoking the marquise's assistance. The princess asks with a grin if Vanessa is taking the order too lightly. The maid doesn't understand what's going on because she was told about the princess being mentally ill. Chloe explains with icy calm that if the mission fails, she will report everything to the empress. A frightened Vanessa meekly accepts her defeat and asks for forgiveness. The heroine hopes with a grin that something like this won't happen again, putting the spy in her place. Chloe decides to spend the night at an inn to avoid attracting unnecessary attention. Callus escorts the princess inside, leaving his men to handle the accommodations. The Adelian curse forces Callus to question the true purpose of this marriage. The knights of Ronheim are perplexed that Callus brought the princess, knowing the full threat. One of the knights is furious that the decision was made without their knowledge. The knights don't understand why they should call Prince Ronheim a marquise. The knights' commander, Havik Blago, contemptuously interrupts the dissatisfied, reminding them of subordination. Havik warns that any careless word could be perceived as an attempt at rebellion. Alex bitterly apologizes for his comrades, feeling guilty for their behavior. Havik notes with disdain the lack of discipline of his knights. Havik warns Brantian to be wary of the princess. Chloe is left alone with the maids, ready for new challenges. The girl apologizes for her ignorance, explaining it by the long isolation. The princess understands how Ramya managed to get close to the maids, who were unknown to her. The heroine wonders what exactly the cabal is trying to test with the help of its spies. Vanessa interrupts Chloe's thoughts by suggesting they light the fireplace because it's cold. The maid irritably reminds Ramya of the need to act as ordered. Vanessa is sure that there is a struggle between her and Ramya for authority in front of the princess. The maid offers Chloe to prepare food to honor the servants of Ronheim. The heroine declines the offer with a smile, declaring that she is not hungry. The princess takes command of the maids, letting them go to rest. Happy maids gratefully accept an unexpected day off from their mistress. Vanessa is perplexed that Chloe let her maids go so easily. Left alone, Chloe lets go of the tired Ramya, giving her the opportunity to rest. The heroine remains in her room, immersed in thoughts about the upcoming trials. Chloe realizes that all the maids except Vanessa are not trained in palace etiquette. The princess decides to take a closer look at the maids to uncover the cabal's plans. The sudden appearance of a bucket of water in the room takes Chloe by surprise. Ramya brings Chloe warm water with a smile, making fun of the innkeeper's panic. A warm foot bath helps Chloe warm up and feel better. Ramya easily switches to informal address, reminding Chloe that they are now colleagues. Rose's strange concern leaves Chloe with mixed feelings of distrust and warmth. The girl gets down to business, asking when the princess plans her escape. Rose lies down casually on the bed, surprised that Chloe is more than just a tramp. The girl, with a grin, suggests that Chloe call her a romantic wanderer. Chloe remembers how the guards insulted her, calling her a common vagabond. The realization that the guards knew her identity makes the heroine suspicious. Chloe asks Ramya directly what she was actually doing in the Empress's palace. Rose tries to avoid answering in confusion, not understanding what the princess is getting at. Rose's story of being kidnapped and imprisoned in a cage leaves Chloe puzzled. Rose cannot explain who could have kidnapped her and sacrificed her or why. The unexpected appearance of a maid with food interrupts the girls' tense conversation. Chloe promises to deliver the food with cool calm, without betraying her concern. Rose's memory of the man in the Cabal Palace makes Chloe tense. Ramya remembers that same errand boy who did the Viscount's dirty work. Chloe realizes with horror that this is about a man she saw in her past life. Whether the Cabal or Andre is involved in Rose's kidnapping becomes a major question for Chloe. The warm food brought by the maid becomes the princess's only consolation in this turmoil. Chloe is horrified to realize that she might have been poisoned and does not trust the food she was brought. The thought that Viscount Palouse is plotting something evil haunts the heroine. The princess decides to warn the Marquise, at any cost, about the impending danger. The girl asks Ramya to use her magic to temporarily take on her appearance. Imperial knights assigned by the Cabal must keep an eye on the princess. To avoid suspicion, Chloe asks Ramya to stay in the room in her guise. Despite their mistrust, the knights cannot refuse a wife looking for her husband. Chloe encounters a knight who turns out to be Alex. The young man shyly asks the girl to call him by his name and not by his title. The heroine happily recognizes the knight, who brought her a box with a teddy bear. Alex is confused by the princess's strange outfit, not understanding what is happening. Chloe directly asks where the marquise is, causing Alex even more surprise. The girl explains that there is a suspicious person in the hotel, and the marquise is in danger. The princess was in a panic because there was only one staircase leading up, and she didn't see anyone. Alex assures Chloe that the imperial knights would have noticed anyone suspicious. The girl bitterly realizes that she does not trust the people sent from the imperial palace. The heroine knows how difficult it is to take her word for it, but she cannot stand aside. Inaction now means repeating the terrible mistakes of a past life. Chloe is genuinely concerned for the marquise's safety, and it comes across in her voice. The princess begs Alex to tell her where Callus is so she can warn him in time. Alex tells Chloe that the marquis hasn't returned yet, but will be back soon. The knight's commander, Havik Blago, introduces himself to the princess and inquires about her concerns. The heroine talks about suspicious people who may threaten the marquise. Havik confidently states that there is no need to worry about the marquise, as he will return soon. The ridiculous explanation that Callus went to check on the cats leaves Chloe shocked. The knights explain that the cats were waiting for their master at the circle of travel. The idea of cats in a snowy field seems completely absurd to the princess. Meanwhile, Callus tracks down pursuers who are unhappy with his marriage to Chloe. The sudden attack of the snowcats takes the killers by surprise, condemning them to death. The young man decides to leave one of the attackers alive in order to interrogate him. Snowcats suddenly appear and bring their master a special treat. Callus pets the cats tenderly, apologizing for making them starve. Brantian finds Callus among the snowcats and corpses, not hiding his surprise. The killers, sent by an unknown person, were caught off guard while the cats were feeding. Callus orders the cats to track down whoever is behind this attack. The hero worries about the princess's safety, realizing that she could also be a target. Callus is alarmed to realize that Chloe's security has been breached by imperial knights. Realizing that Chloe is in serious danger, the young people rush to return. Callus hopes that he is not too late and will have time to protect the princess from the invisible enemy. The knights of Ronheim are perplexed that Callus does not trust them to protect the princess. The imperial knights are in a panic because they cannot find anyone suspicious. A noise outside the door causes Callus and Brantian to interrupt their conversation. Havik explains that the knights tried to investigate, but were prevented. Callus asks with icy calm where the princess is. Havik reports that Chloe has been moved to a more secure room. The news of one of the handmaidens going missing makes Callus suspicious. The guy, in a rage, orders to comb the entire area and find the culprit. Chloe appears at the most tense moment, interrupting Callus's angry tirade. The princess asks with concern if everything is all right with the marquise. Callus tenderly assures Chloe that nothing terrible has happened. The girl admits that she saw Viscount Palus's footman, which caused her concern. Palus's appearance here means that he is plotting something against the marquise. Chloe's fear of her ex-fiancé doesn't escape Callus's watchful eye. The young man asks anxiously if Viscount Palus has frightened her. The hero accidentally touches Chloe's wound, causing her to groan in pain. The princess tries to hide her trembling, but Callus has already noticed everything. The young man promises to take care of everything, reassuring the worried girl. Callus's words of encouragement give Chloe a feeling of security and peace. An unexpected voice behind the door interrupts their conversation, causing them to turn around. Chloe's appearance outside leaves everyone confused, as she should be in her room. Chloe panics when she notices blood on Ramya's clothes, fearing the worst. Ramya tells with a smile how she dealt with the suspicious stranger. Chloe's genuine concern makes Ramya surprised and gives a warm smile. Callus watches with affection as Chloe cares for her new servant. Brantian informs Callus that they have captured the fugitive who infiltrated the hotel. The prisoner refuses to reveal the name of the customer, despite Callus's threats. Snowcats bring their master an unexpected trophy, a ring with a signet. The ring, taken from the torn-apart messenger, becomes the main evidence. Callus recognizes Viscount Palus's ring with fury, realizing who is behind the attack. The young man angrily gets rid of the prisoner, Not wanting to waste any more time on him, the hero thinks with contempt of the Viscount, who still has not given up the idea of marrying Chloe. The unexpected appearance of the princess forces Callus to hide his anger and surprise. The girl talks about her suspicions about Viscount Pelis, confirming the hero's guesses. Chloe is shocked that Callus found the Viscount's seal ring so quickly. The young man explains that his faithful cats met the messenger in his place. The heroine cannot believe that the Viscount gave up so easily and left, leaving his ring behind. Chloe listens to Callus's story with disbelief, suspecting that he is hiding something. The young man promises to take care of everything, reassuring the worried girl. Despite the devastation, Chloe feels relieved, as if heavy chains have been lifted from her. The girl understands that even after leaving the palace, the Cabal's traps continue to haunt her. Chloe realizes that the Cabal's traps are waiting for her everywhere, even far from the palace. The Imperial Knights are furious that Chloe is questioning their loyalty. One of the knights indignantly reminds us of his high status and loyalty. Chloe points out with disdain that they failed at even their one and only task: protection. The elite knights are shocked that the princess dares to accuse them of incompetence. The heroine understands that these knights are just spies sent to follow her. The Cabal's cunning plan to infiltrate Ronheim becomes clear to Chloe. The girl asks with cold calm what the knights were doing during the invasion. The princess turns to one of the knights, demanding an answer and assessment of the situation. The knight reluctantly admits that they abandoned their posts upon hearing the princess's cry. Chloe notes with a chuckle that their role is to represent her protection, not provide it. Vanessa is perplexed that the princess speaks about her in the third person. The heroine asks if she can trust her life to those who do not want to obey her. Vanessa's hesitation becomes confirmation for Chloe of her suspicions and plans. The girl declares that she can no longer trust her protection to those who have neglected their duty. Chloe confidently announces that from now on, the Knights of Ronheim will be in charge of her protection. Havoc gratefully accepts the princess's decision, promising her full protection. Meanwhile, Kabbalah receives news that Chloe has already left the palace. The Empress can't believe the princess left for Ronheim so quickly. The Cabal is furious that its plans to station troops in Ronheim have been thwarted. The Cabal demands that Andre return the sacred relic at any cost. Andre bitterly admits his mistake, realizing that the butler could have stolen the Grail. The Empress orders a search of all auction houses and black markets in search of the relic. Kabbalah contemptuously reminds Andre of his uselessness and unwillingness to shelter a criminal. Andre accepts the order with humility, promising to return the relic before it falls into the wrong hands. The next morning, Chloe emerges from the hotel into the crisp air of Avon. The princess anxiously searches for the Marquis, not finding him among the knights. The embarrassed look on Callus's face as he slept next to the knights makes Chloe smile. The Marquis's kindness and attentiveness make the heroine see in him a resemblance to Call. The girl can't help but think that Callus and Call's faces are becoming more and more similar. The princess sheepishly admits that she can't stop looking at him because of his resemblance to her friend. Callus is perplexed by this confession, not understanding what precious friend he is talking about. The young man asks with interest about his mysterious friend, promising to tell him about him later. Chloe can't reveal the truth about Kayla, so she decides to change the subject and continue on her way. Callus informs them that they will have to ride on horseback from now on, leaving the carriage behind. The hero offers the princess to ride with him, as she doesn't know how to stay in the saddle. Chloe's embarrassment at the suggestion makes her heart beat faster. Several days had passed since they left Avon, continuing their journey. Chloe looks at the Rocky Mountains in surprise, not believing that people could live here. The girl thinks with impatience and anxiety about what her new home, Ronheim, will be like. History books describe Ronheim as a small kingdom of eternal snow and blizzards. The only reason for the Empire's interest in these barren lands was an ancient legend. Legend tells of untold riches and herbs of immortality hidden in the mountains of Ronheim. The mysterious landscapes of the north seem to Chloe like a touch of the world of fairy tales and magic. Callus offers Chloe some small talk to lift her spirits. The girl is surprised why the Marquise so suddenly remembered her mysterious friend. Callus notes with a smile that the princess looks happier when she talks about him. The heroine shyly admits that her friend is the most handsome person she has ever seen. Chloe is panicked that her words might be misinterpreted by the Marquise. Callus asks with a grin to tell him more about the appearance of the man he so resembles. Embarrassed, Chloe hides her face, realizing that she has fallen into the charming Marquise's trap. Callus's smile makes him look even more like Call, but the girl understands the difference. Callus bitterly admits that he thought he knew her friend, but he was wrong. Chloe confidently states that they cannot know each other because Call does not know of his existence. The young man asks with interest what her friend said about their marriage. The heroine recalls with a smile how Call was surprised, but ultimately gave his blessing. Chloe thinks longingly of Kale, glad that he mentally supported her decision. Callus cuts off the conversation with cold indifference, not wanting to hear any more about her friend. The young man notes with bitterness that the princess is very lucky to have such a friend. Callus's unexpected reaction makes Chloe wonder about the Marquis's jealousy and strange behavior. Chloe asks Callus to tell her more about Ronheim, as she had no one to ask. The princess's sudden shortness of breath forces Callus to interrupt his journey and make a stop. Every time something happens, there is someone suspicious around them. The unexpected appearance of Bahar from the Utar tribe interrupts their seclusion. Callus explains that Bahar belongs to a tribe of nomads who are subjects of Ronheim. The boy happily greets Callus, whom he calls his king. Bihar says that the seer Rasa predicted their stop at this place. The boy's words about the king and queen bestowing good luck leave Chloe in shock. Callus explains that Rasa is a seer who knew of their arrival in advance. The nomads still believe that Ronheim is under Arenthal's control. Callus angrily asks Bahar not to call him king in front of the princess. The boy is perplexed that the princess of Arenthal has become their queen. Bihar panics and apologizes to Chloe, fearing that he has made an unforgivable mistake. The heroine looks at the frightened child with sympathy, not knowing how to react. The girl is afraid to object, fearing that the Cabal people might take it as treason. Chloe decides to be more careful so as not to arouse unnecessary suspicion and misunderstanding. The princess asks Bahar with a smile about his charming black lamb. The boy proudly tells that Rasa entrusted him with taking care of the guide. Callus explains that they must navigate an icy path with hidden crevasses. Smart mountain goats raised by the Utars will help them safely navigate the dangerous route. Rasa's sudden decision to send the young goat arouses Callus's suspicions. The heroes continue on their way, hurrying to make it before dark and find a place to rest. The indescribable beauty of the icy landscape strikes Chloe to the depths of her soul. Callus explains that the mysterious lake changes color several times a day. In her past life, the girl couldn't even imagine how huge and beautiful this world was. The aching emptiness in Chloe's heart begins to fill little by little with new impressions. Every day, the princess learns something new, feeling alive and free. The nomads joyfully welcome their king and his bride, confirming Rasa's prediction. Callus respectfully greets Rasa, who has long awaited their arrival. The seer says with reverence that the gods themselves directed her to them. Rasa reports that the thing Callus has been searching for so long is already very close. The thought that the sacred relic is here shocks the hero. Callus asks Chloe to rest so he can talk to Rasa alone and without prying ears. The young man asks directly whether it was really a sacred relic. Rasa confirms that the precious item is already close, but warns against trusting the surroundings. The prophecy says that as the jewel approaches, the enemy will draw his sword. Callus notes with irritation that Rasa's prophecies are always so vague and unclear. The seer reminds him with a smile that he is an active figure who needs to show patience. Rasa invites Callus to a feast hosted by the chieftain in honor of their arrival. The seer declares with certainty that Callus is born to be their king, no matter what happens. Callus bitterly admits that he is unable to protect even one person. Chloe looks at the Marquis's gloomy expression with concern, fearing bad news. The chief of the Utar tribe invites the princess to try a local delicacy. Brantian explains with concern that goat's milk with salt is a prized gift in their tribe. The pleasant taste of the drink surprises Chloe, and she gratefully accepts the treat. Rasa offers Chloe more with a smile, seeing her genuine pleasure. Brantian angrily scolds Rasa for taking on too much. Rasa grinningly advises Brantian to think less and concentrate more on his master's requests. The seer's unexpectedly intense gaze makes Chloe freeze in surprise. Rasa's words about a second chance shock the princess, because she is talking about her regression. Chloe looks around in panic, afraid that someone might have heard their conversation. The girl tries to pretend that she doesn't understand what the seer is talking about. Rasa encourages Chloe to hold on to this opportunity that God has given her for a purpose. The seer advises the princess to trust herself and not rely on illusions. Rasa explains that illusions are swarming around, making Chloe weaker and more vulnerable. Chloe is at a loss, as she must recognize the danger that no one has spoken of. The seer states with a serious expression that Chloe is dying and must not let death overtake her again. The word once again confirms Chloe's suspicions that her life is in danger again. Rasa gives Chloe a cryptic clue that she must remember and decipher. Callus interrupts their conversation, asking what Rasa told the princess. Chloe bitterly admits that Rasa congratulated her on her arrival and gave her blessing. The princess remembers how Rasa distributed food, giving everyone their portion. Chloe is puzzled by Rasa's unexpected gesture of giving her bread to another. Each one has his own portion, and Rasa accepts this law with wisdom. The seer strictly warns against coveting what does not belong to you. The knights of Ronheim respect the laws of the tribe, accepting their fate. Chloe wonders if the bread situation was a tip from Russ. The seer's disturbing words keep the princess awake, forcing her to search for answers. The girl understands that now is the last chance to find out the meaning of the prophecy. Chloe rushes to find Russa's tent, afraid of missing her only chance. The princess calls the seer, hoping to find her and get answers to her questions. Callus's unexpected appearance takes the heroine by surprise, as she thought he was sleeping. The young man reports that Rasa has gone to pray and asks what Chloe wanted. The girl decides to trust Callus, telling him about the prophecy and the situation with the bread. Chloe suggests that Callus wait for Russ together, since they are now in the same boat. The young man caringly invites the princess to go inside so as not to freeze. The coals in the brazier have not yet burned out, which gives the heroes hope for Rasa's quick return. Chloe doesn't understand why she was so quick to trust someone she barely knows. The heroine turns to Callus, preparing to reveal her biggest secret to him. The girl asks if he knows that the Cabal sent her to Ronheim as a spy. Callus admits that he was aware of the possibility of such a development from the very beginning. The young man explains with a grin that marriage is the best way to send a person to Ronheim. Chloe desperately asks if he will believe her if she tries to prove her innocence. Callus's unexpected trust shocks the princess and gives her hope. The girl cannot believe that the Marquis so easily believed her words without any evidence. Callus says tenderly that he has no one to rely on but his wife. All of Chloe's worries disappear without a trace, giving way to a feeling of gratitude and trust. The young man confidently declares that liars have completely different eyes. Callus recalls receiving her letter and deciding to attend the banquet to find out the truth. Chloe's desperate look that evening captured his attention and made him trust her. The more Callus got to know Chloe, the more he became convinced of her strength and determination. The memory of the little girl with the teddy bear confirmed his suspicions. Despite all his doubts, Callus decides to trust Chloe, seeing her as a kindred spirit. The heroine gratefully accepts his trust, feeling safe. The girl decides to have a frank conversation, asking if she can ask for something. Callus notes with a chuckle that calling him Lord while being his wife is a bit cruel. The young man asks Chloe to call him by his first name, creating a new bond between them. The princess happily agrees, realizing that this is a small step towards bringing them closer. Chloe smiles and suggests that Callus call her by her first name too, Callias. It is a great honor for Callus, and he says his future wife's name with tenderness. Callus warns Chloe about spies monitoring her on behalf of the Cabal. The young man confidently declares that the Cabal will not touch him as long as he has the thing he needs. Chloe doesn't understand what else Cabal and Andre could want other than killing Callus. The hero apologizes for the suspicion of his knights, who do not trust the princess. Callus admits that he lacks the leadership skills to convince his subordinates. Chloe understands the knights' mistrust, as they have their reasons. The girl realizes that Callus also has his own secrets that he cannot reveal. The princess says with a smile that everyone has their own secrets, and it has nothing to do with trust. Callus gratefully accepts Chloe's understanding, feeling them grow closer. The young man suggests returning in the morning, since Rasa is delayed and it is already late. The heroine happily agrees, enjoying the moment and not wanting to interrupt it. Callus's warm hand penetrates Chloe's skin, giving her an unfamiliar but pleasant feeling. A strange and pleasant feeling fills the girl's soul as she walks next to Callus. The young man invites Chloe to admire the stars to distract her from sad thoughts. The endless number of stars in the night sky amazes the princess with their beauty. Chloe confidently states that Callus would have made a great king. The girl sees Callus's genuine love for his kingdom in his words and actions. After the regression, the thirst for revenge was the only thing that helped Chloe move on. Now, the girl wants to reclaim the kingdom and see Callus on his rightful throne. Chloe resolutely promises to help Callus, shocking him with her courage. Chloe is determined to get things back on track and will do anything to achieve it. The girl still feels warmth from Callus's touch, which makes her embarrassed. Callus reports that Rossi is unwell and they won't be able to see her today. Chloe worries that she is too stupid to understand the prophecy when the time comes. Callus reassures the princess that they will definitely meet with Rasa again. The young man's words of support give Chloe relief and a sense of calm. One of the nomads gives Chloe a wedding gift, a necklace made during prayer. The stones in the necklace resemble the color of the princess's eyes, making the gift even more precious. The day Chloe decided to change the past, her life began to change too. After several days, the heroes finally arrive at Ronheim Castle. Ronheim Castle, Chloe's new home, greets her with cold and grandeur. Chief Steward, Mains Villano, greets his new mistress with respect. Callus gratefully accepts the greeting, entrusting Mainz with the care of the castle. The young man orders the courtiers to be assembled in order to introduce his wife to them. Callus proudly introduces Chloe Rodrian, the new Marchioness of Ronheim. The cold reaction of the courtiers confirms Chloe's fears about the difficulties ahead. The girl understands that she has encountered even greater difficulties along the way, and that she shouldn't strain herself. Chloe introduces herself with a confident smile, hoping to establish a relationship with her new subjects.